Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast presented by Cisco. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and joining me today is 49ers team reporter Lindsay Polares and special guest Jesús Zárate from our 49ers and Espanol channels. Jesús, thanks for joining the pod again.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure chatting with you guys.
Definitely. We're getting ready for round 2 against the Rams tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. Lindsay, we heard from head coach Kyle Shanahan yesterday, and he made it clear that this is a high stakes game. What has been the team's mindset heading into this critical Week 15 game, late in the season, trying to carve their own way into the playoffs?
Yeah, for the 49ers, I know that we are entering this Week 15 matchup, but it is very much playoff mode for the Niners right now. And we all know it was a slow start to the year. They got a big win on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. That was a really big momentum boost, but now it's got to keep rolling down the stretch. Head coach Kyle Shanahan said that every week since Buffalo, they've considered a playoff game. So this coming Thursday, which is in like 24 hours, it's a playoff game. This is a must win for the 49ers. Currently, they have just one NFC West win to their name. They have an opportunity to get 2 more wins, and that's going to be absolutely necessary to get a win against the Rams, and then also in Week 18 against the Arizona Cardinals if they want to make a case for themselves for the postseason. Obviously, many more things have to fall into place, but the first next piece of the puzzle involves this Thursday night game against the Rams, who are on a bit of a hot streak since their Week 6 bye. So again, high stakes, and I know the 49ers are certainly treating it that way, and they're welcoming the pressure that comes with a very, very big matchup that's coming in prime time.
Given that the 49ers still control their destiny if they win out, Jesús, what have Coach Shanahan and leaders on the team emphasized this week as far as maintaining focus and confidence?
Yeah, they basically talk about playing with desperation. Like, for example, that was the topic this week because remember, they said they had this Demador Lenore and also Brock Purdy speak to the team before the game against Chicago on Saturday. So they were talking about that, playing desperately, and they made a lot of emphasis on that because obviously there's no more margin for error with this, especially with this divisional game against the Rams. So that was basically the emphasis, and obviously correcting the mistakes, like for example against Green Bay and Buffalo. And I think they really did a good job against Chicago. They were able to stop the run, and I think everything starts basically with that, right? Correcting those mistakes and don't shoot yourself in the foot. And they did against Chicago, and we saw the result. They got a big win.
Something definitely clicked last week against the Bears with that successful outing, and we've got people up for awards from that win. Lindsay, can you tell us a little bit about some players that are highlighted after that Week 14 win?
Yeah, so let's start with the award that has been secured. Defensive lineman Yetur Gross-Matos was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week for Week 14. He had 4 tackles and 3 sacks in that 38-13 victory on Sunday, and he was part of a larger effort by the 49ers defense, or defensive line, I should say, 7 total sacks. So a huge outing for the guys in the trenches. So again, congratulations to Yetur Gross-Matos. He was someone that came to the 49ers via free agency in the offseason from the Carolina Panthers. He's in his 5th season in the league, but first with the Niners. And he was battling a knee injury for like part of the year, like a 4-week stretch in that midsection, but has battled back. He's been an important role player for the 49ers. So a huge effort by him. And then we've got George Kittle, who was nominated for the FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Week. He had 6 catches for 151 yards in that Chicago game. And then also Isaac Guerrero has been nominated for Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week. That is a very long title. His first career start had 2 touchdowns, and led the 49ers ground game in week 14, which has been really important, especially with the injuries to Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason that landed them both on injured reserve. So we'll find out on George and also Isaac Guerrero later in the week, I believe today and tomorrow. Got to double check that. But yeah, huge congratulations. Obviously, big performances from a lot of people in that week 14 game. And you can always tell by the amount of awards that the 49ers are nominated for.
Yeah, let's keep that momentum pushing into Thursday night football. But Lindsay, how about you take us back to week 3 and our first meeting with the Rams this season? What went wrong in that game, and what do the 49ers need to fix up for this week?
Yeah, I think that week 3 game looks a lot different, and it's very much in the rear view mirror, but it is one of the losses of this season that the 49ers have called back to often. They had the fourth quarter lead, and then the Rams went on to put up, I believe, 13 unanswered points in the last 7 or so minutes of the game. And it's one of the ones that, head coach Kyle Shanahan has says this team should have won. The Rams team that we'll see this Thursday night does look significantly different because that week 3 meeting did not include Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp, who are the Rams' best receivers. So this is going to be an entirely different matchup. And as we know, the 49ers have suffered a few injuries since then. So I think the team that's also going to be taking for the Niners this time around looks a lot different. I think if the 49ers are able to carry the momentum, that defensive dominance that they had on Sunday, that will yield different results. Also for the 49ers offense, just getting off to that fast start has been so huge. I feel like we felt this big burst of energy on Sunday after that opening drive touchdown by Jawan Jennings that I would say the atmosphere in Levi's was electric after that. And you just felt this confidence in the team that'd been missing for a few weeks. So I think that's going to be really the key coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, given the fact that head coach Kyle Shanahan mentioned that the 49ers should have won that game, Jesus, what adjustments do you expect the 49ers to make, particularly in addressing that late game collapse in the week since?
Well, I think it's going to be very important to just finish those long drives because overall, if you take a look at the season, the 49ers have been pretty good at having long drives. Most of the times they control the clock, but we saw in those losses that they only ended up with field goals or sometimes once they were on the opponent territory, they got flags that didn't even give them a chance to kick a field goal. And I put as an example the game against the Bears because the game against the Bears, most of the drives ended with touchdowns, and I think that should help the 49ers because I remember that day when they lost to the Rams. Kyle Shanahan mentioned something really interesting, a really good quote. He said, "Taking all the hope away from the opponent, and when you have those long drives, you really need to end with a touchdown. So you take away that hope and control the clock. I think that's gonna be key. And obviously on defense, they struggle a little bit after halftime when their opponent made some adjustments. So if they're able to make also the corresponding adjustments to it, I think they should be fine and give themselves a really good chance.
All right, a few keys to the game: finishing their drives, controlling the clock. Lindsay, what is a certain matchup you're looking to watch in this game?
Yeah, I touched on it in our earlier question, but I think just making sure that your top 2 receivers from the Rams, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, you're able to at least limit their production. Again, both of these guys are big time playmakers for LA, so it's really hard to shut them down completely, but you definitely want the 49ers secondary, the cornerback specifically, obviously to play some lockdown defense. This is an entirely different Rams team when you add those 2 players in. So I think, yeah, the onus is going to be on the 49ers defense to make sure that Matt Stafford isn't able to connect with his best 2 guys. And I do think that is the difference in this game if you're talking in terms of matchups.
Yeah, Jesus, what's your key matchup heading into Thursday Night Football?
I think they have to stop Kyron Williams, stop basically overall the Rams running game. That's huge. They did that against Chicago, and we saw all the success that the team had, and we saw also what happened when they didn't do it against Green Bay and against Buffalo. I know it's a cliche, but basically everything starts with stopping the opponent's running game. That way, you also force the Rams to pass the ball, and obviously they're very dangerous. Like Lindsay said, they have Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup, but it gives you a chance also to create some pressure on Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback, but just with with the majority of quarterbacks, when you create pressure, when you have defenders on their face, you can make him make some big mistakes. So I think that's key to stop the run in this game.
All right. Well, before we close out today's episode, Lindsay, any injuries we should track heading into this primetime game?
This is a short turnaround week, so the 49ers are definitely not doing their normal full speed practices in the same way. I think, a lot of the injuries are going to be carrying over. I'm just talking specifically about Nick Bosa and left tackle Trent Williams. Neither of them participated. They didn't practice on Monday, but there's kind of an anticipated practice report for that day. They haven't practiced the last 2 days, and if the 49ers had practiced, they would not have been out there. So it's not looking great for them. Someone else to track is running back Isaac Guerrero. He's been passed the torch to lead the 49ers ground game. Again, do not participate on both Monday and Tuesday. We did hear from head coach Kyle Shanahan that if he can't go in time for Thursday, it is going to be Patrick Taylor Jr. getting the start at running back. So that's something to look out for. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw as well. He is in the final week of his 21-day practice window. Started the year on the physically unable to perform list. So the 49ers are going to have to make a decision on whether or not to activate him to the 53-man roster. So definitely someone to keep an eye out on. Good news is that left guard Aaron Banks has cleared concussion protocol. He's been a full participant, or would have been the last 2 days. So I think obviously that bodes well for the 49ers offensive line.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that today, but it's shaping up to be an exciting Thursday night at Levi Stadium. Thank you, Lindsay and Jesus, for joining me today. Don't forget to tune into the Rams vs. Niners game on Prime Video at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Time. Subscribe to First and 10 presented by Cisco for all your 49ers updates, and turn on notifications for breaking news. Thanks for tuning in.